So I put my poncho on, which is a plastic tarp, and walk a few miles, and then you sweat like a horse because of the humidity, and you're encased in plastic, and you're wet, and it's raining still. So you take your poncho off, roll it up, put it back in your rucksack, and you say, I guess I'm just going to get wet. And you're wet for the next 3 or 4 days, all the time. Your feet are wet, your clothes are wet, everything you own is wet. They say keep your feet dry, so you always try to keep a pair of dry socks somewhere on your person somewhere, maybe in your ruck. But that was life in the field for November, December, and January for me. You're out in the field, it's raining at night, it rains at day, it rains at night. You just get wet. So we're out in the field, we're hunkered down in the evening, and the platoon is going to move to what they call the night defensive position, the NDP. And those of us that are going to go out on ambush, my squad was going to go out on ambush that night. They stayed back in this one area. There's like 10 of us that stayed back. Well, the rest of the platoon, the other 30 guys got up and walked away and went to another designated place where they were going to spend the night. They would dig foxholes and they would set up claymores and protective barriers and so forth, so that they wouldn't be ambushed. But those of us that were going out of ambush would stay back away from there. So if the VC were watching, they would see the rest of the troops move off, and we would stay back where we were until it got dark. And then once it got dark, we would then move off to our ambush site. So we're getting ready to move to the ambush. Sergeant Denning says, Ropel, you're on point. Walking on point, you're always walking in a single file column. There's like 6 feet between each person in the column. Point man is probably 20 yards ahead of the column. Sergeant Denning must have said something about, see that landmark over there, head towards that, or something like that. I wasn't carrying a map. I had no idea where I was going, other than he said, go start walking towards that spot over there. And so I'm leading the column, and we're walking. He says, if you get to the river, stop, because you've gone too far. So while you're walking along, there's action going on around you. Artillery units are setting up parachute flares because it's getting dark. It's dark. It's dark out. It's nighttime. It's probably 7, 8 o'clock maybe. I have no idea what time it was. It was just dark. And so if you're in a position, you can call for illumination if you think you've got VC around you. And the artillery will shoot up parachute flares, mortar flares, and these things will come down and light up the area around wherever they shot those flares. But if you're out walking around, you don't want to be silhouetted against any skyline. So when the flare comes off, you stop, you kneel down, and you try to blend into the background. So we're walking along, I'm walking along, flares were shooting off. We stop, I stop. Flares die down, we continue walking, we get to this hedgerow of path makes a turn off to the right. And it goes through this, what looks like a village. And I think, well, shit, it's a village. We're going to walk through this village, it's like 9 o'clock at night. We're going to walk through their front yards. Really? Turns out that the village has been abandoned, but all the lot lines are still in place. All the plots were outlined by hedges and bushes and so forth. Path of the trail went right down the middle of these lot lines, and it had like how it would have been if houses would have been there. Houses would have been on each side of the trail, with a little opening where they could theoretically drive their car, which they didn't have, or take their oxen through back to the field. So we get up to this village, what I thought, village, and I think, man, this is a village. And I stopped the column, and Sergeant Denning says, this is an abandoned village. Keep on going, and if you come to the river, stop. So I think, okay, he knows what he's doing. He's been in country longer than I have. So I start walking along. It's Point Man. In Point Man, you got your, you have a round in the chamber. You have your safety on, and you expect to be walking into an ambush. You expect to see somebody out there to shoot. So we start walking through this village, this abandoned village, and I get past the first plot of land, of home site, so to speak, and I stop and I look back. I turn around and I look back, and Sergeant Denny's got the column stopped at the first place where we stopped, and I think, he's waiting to see if I make it to the next hedgerow without getting shot and killed. If I get shot and killed, that means the bad guys are here and they're going to be doing something. I thought, wow, this is big deal stuff. So I turn around and I look, and he's got them all stopped. They're knelt down, waiting to see if I make it to the next hedgerow. So I keep walking. Nothing happens. I keep walking. Nothing happens. I think, man, this is a good spot for an ambush. And that's why he picked it, because it was a good spot for an ambush. So we get to a point where we stop. He brings all the column up, and we go on one side of the trail. The river's to our back, and we sit parallel to the trail, and we just crouch down behind these bushes. And John Hasselbauer is to my left. Douglas Dennis is to my right. These are guys that I hung around with. And the rest of the squad was further out. Sergeant Denning was down at the beginning of the first row of people. And so you're there and you wait. You've been up all morning, you've been up all day, you're up all night now. It's wet, it's cold, it's raining, and it's dark. And you try not to doze off. And we're sitting there, and all of a sudden I see in front of me, maybe from here to the door, away from me, a coolie hat, one of those conical bamboo hats that they wear over there. And I think, that's not right. That's not a good thing to see at the moment. That's somebody walking in our ambush. And I bring my M16 up, and I think, why aren't these guys shooting? If these are guys in the ambush, why aren't they shooting? Do I want to be the first one to shoot? And just at the same time, John Hasselbauer brings up his M79 grenade launcher. He's got it loaded with a shotgun shell, and the bore on that's about so big, and it shoots at this pattern of BBs. It would just devastate anybody that was close enough to it. And I bring up my M16, and I think, why isn't anybody shooting? Am I going to be the first one to shoot? And John brings up his M79, and he pulls the trigger, and it goes click, misfire. And I go, shit. They certainly heard that if they're in front of me. So I then start firing, bam, 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 swinging from left to right. John breaks his M79 down, pulls it out, puts it in, brings it back at you, kaboom! This M79 BB or shotgun pattern goes out and devastates the foliage around us. And the rest of the squad opens up, because I remember thinking, as I'm bringing my M16 up, I'm thinking, man, I'm going to shoot somebody first time in my life. But I'm going to actually shoot somebody, and this bullet's going to go through and tear them apart. And I remember these thoughts, and I think, gotta shoot before he does. So I start shooting, bang, 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 swinging from left to right, thinking there's a column of people coming across. And Willie Garrison opens up with the M60, starts blasting away with the M60 machine gun. I assume shooting down the trail and then off to our front where we're facing, into the bushes, off to our front into the bushes where we're facing. That goes on for a couple of minutes. I don't remember how long exactly. But everybody's been, once I start shooting and John starts shooting, everybody in the column, in the ambush starts shooting. And you're shooting either at people that you see, or you're shooting at noises that you hear, or you're shooting at things that look like people, or you're just shooting to rake the bushes and hope that whoever was there has left. So that goes on for 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes maybe. And then Sergeant Denning calls for ceasefire. So I'm thinking, okay, they know where we are. We should move to a different spot because they know where we are, because we just unloaded a shit full of ammo. So he says, no, we'll stay here. So we stayed there for the rest of the night until morning, when Sergeant Denning sends me and Douglas Dennis out to be like an outpost a few 100 yards away from the rest of the squad, to be as lookouts for anybody that's hanging around or coming around. And that's where Dennis took the picture with my camera of me standing in the jungle. And turns out that was the 20th of December. I saw that from the Tactical Operations Center reports that I was able to download here recently. Of my first ambush. And so Dennis and I come back to the group, and there's something going on. I don't know what's going on exactly, but there's some Vietnamese there. I don't know where these guys came from. Were they the remnants of the people that walked through our ambush?